So I started talking about Eugene Gendlin's focusing technique in the last video, and already mentioned I was going to talk about this more because it's very relevant for me right now. And I was going to answer in text, but I'm going to make this video in answer to a comment on that last one because it's about something that I would like to address anyways. And that was very nicely addressed also by David McDonald in his video that I put in the link of the description of the last video. And it's about spiritual bypassing, which is a term that only now is beginning to actually properly resonate. And I wasn't really using before at all because I didn't see what it was exactly referring to in concrete situations. And so the question was, isn't progress an illusion? Because I talk about making progress with this emotional work with the focusing. So I think there's several relative levels on which we look at the world that makes sense for us to distinguish between. Because there is a relative level that is foundational to everything that is in harmony, where there is no thing progressing through something else. This is true, and I have glimpsed this, and I've also had whole days feeling in unison with this. But there are many other times where I'm living on different relative levels from that, where a statement like progress is just an illusion would be spiritually bypassing the fact that I'm not living from that in that moment, and that it's actually just another belief about spirituality that I'm trying to manifest with the mind, that I'm holding on to, that I'm trying to convince myself of, and that I'm just saying. Because when you start to see beyond your little conditionings, and you're watching yourself do things that are not what you want to do, or that are not what naturally would happen, because you're acting, for example, from some kind of childhood conditioning and or trauma, or you're acting out of self-consciousness, anxiety, some kind of belief about yourself, and it's just making you very restricted, and you don't feel free in your life. And this is all kind of accumulating to this general feeling of suffering overall that may have driven you to find people talking about this kind of stuff. And so even when you start seeing that you're doing all sorts of things, you still can't just break all habits immediately. There are people that might experience this, and I can't tell anyone that's not valid, because you'll know if it is. And I can just say from my experience that there is so much old stuff that I'm still acting from that I just don't know about yet, that I need to find out about, and I need to actually also actively engage the mind and memories and investigating what it is, so that I can find these things at the source and actually open them up there. Because we're talking about the types of things that are not easy to see. It's already a lot easier for me, for example, if I feel that there is suddenly an aggression present in the body, being a very noticeable and easily nameable emotion, to sit with it and not try to freak out about it and not try to push it away, and to just kind of relax into it more. That's something that is already much easier, which already is taking away a big amount of suffering, constantly trying to fight against these big emotions. But what this focusing helps with is that if you just keep sitting with this, and all of this David McDonald talks about in his video as well, and I'm just, whatever I'm repeating from his video is just because that's exactly what I've been experiencing, and he put it very nicely, and I'm just adding to the pot, which is adding my experiences, which happen to be really similar to his. That just keeping on sitting with it hasn't actually helped dissolve that it comes up, because I'm not finding out what is actually causing it to happen with me. And so when you're saying progress is just an illusion, then if you're actually living from a place where that's true, I don't think the question would come up in that sense, because when you get triggered by someone in your family, or when you feel stuck in a relationship, that's real. That's happening to you, probably. It's happening to me, is what I'm saying, at least. So doing actual psychological work, for example, actual work with your thoughts to find these core beliefs. For me, Nicola Pera's book, How to Do the Work, was really instrumental in that part of the work for me about a year ago. Working through that and actually trying to, it usually starts with the mind, I would say. I didn't have proper access to my body up until very recently to actually use it to do much more effective work. So for me, I had to start in the mind. If you can already start with this focusing right away, I think that's much more effective. But I had to figure out these beliefs, and now that I've found this technique, and I'm actually putting effort into trying to really listen and really feel my feelings in their whole richness, and just the many variations of things that are going on. It's not just that big thing, like often aggression or fear, in my case, more often than aggression, and anxiety. But there's something else going on that you need to experiment with to find, to then go back to these roots, and in that sense, progress is not an illusion, because I am actually carrying this with me all the time. So learning a method with which I can actually find what that is and dissolve it at the root, that is an actual progress, and it's actually progress that's necessary, because I otherwise would just be in this space where I keep ignoring that something is always triggering me, and then just learning to surface level tolerate the symptom of that. And that's not what I want, at least. And so there's a level on which I don't disagree at all that illusion is, that progress is an illusion. But on this level, it definitely isn't. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that this path may lead to surprising things, and maybe also more conventional things in a way than you would think. Like, yeah, there's a lot of deep emotional work a lot of deep associations, childhood associations, things concerning my parents, my dynamic with my sister, that are relevant and that I need to find out about, because they are still controlling me in a way that very directly is hindering a liberation from suffering, because that's who I am at the time, as in at this time. I still am carrying all this around, so I'm still a living relic of things that are not relevant anymore, yet still being projected onto everything in my present and future. And so on those relative levels, yes, there is a past, there is a present, there is a future. Yes, there is work to be done that is effective, that will actually help you. And I can only say that this is really very directly contributing to just improving the quality of my life, even if it means that I'm crying all the time. It also means that I'm laughing really deeply, because it'll help you really, if you're doing it the way that that I was introduced to, that immediately resonated with me, that I started doing, and it came somewhat easily because I was really ready and eager to do it, and I'm practicing it and really giving it a chance and seeing the potential in it. It's just really improving my mobility, flexibility, and freedom to handle things in life and to relax into the fact that everything is one and progress is an illusion. But in order to get there, I have to work my way through some other things. So I hope that helps you.